Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Anjarama bandarami Muslimun at Fulbe Fi Dunya. So this video I want to do is for us living in the Western countries. That includes America, that includes Europe. So right now I want to really focus on America. Okay? Now, with America right now, we have, some people, some of us, we have our permission to vote. Some of us don't have a permission to vote, okay? Um, so what's happening is when you look on the social media, many people are like saying that, oh, you should go vote, oh, go vote, and things like that. In fact, on YouTube, um, every commercial on YouTube, before every video, no matter what video, every video is showing something about, oh, you should go vote for this guy, oh, you should go vote for this other guy, and things like that. Okay? But what I want to do is I want to give a different perspective on it. And this is coming from our Malbe, okay? This is coming from our Lamido, okay? Before the colonization, okay? Because our Malbe, before colonization, saw what was going to happen with society, you know, and they gave us some practical advices to follow, you know, in dealing with living in our society that we live in, you know. And so basically what happened is, you know, before before the colonization took place, they already were kind of like prepared for it coming, you know, because you know, for for them, they followed prophecy basically. And you know, the prophecy was that, you know, the end of times would get closer and closer and closer. And so with the end of times, the society would decline. You know, even back then it was declining. But it really started to decline when it really started to decline when the European colonization took place. You know, before that took place, it was already declining because some of us were corrupted, and you know, corrupted started showing in us. But it really started to fall down once we decided to, you know, become colonized, you know. And so, you know, this is just a little history lesson, okay? Um, you know, us especially Toronto, you know, especially Toronto Full Bay, we were actively fighting against colonization. You know, we didn't want colonization to take place with us, you know. And even nomadic Fulani didn't want it to take place either, you know, because let's face it, with colonization, that like kind of keeps them from moving around the way that they're usually moved around, you know. And so what happened basically is that in Africa, when the colonization happened, it just happened one by one, little by little. You know, colonization just started taking place. You know, it first started taking place in Futa Toro. You know, that's what happened. After Futa Toro, you know, Futa Jalon went down. And then after Futa Jalon went down, uh, the Hamdullahi, and then the Masina uh, empires, they all went down too. And so, what actually happened is that those people from those empires, they sought refuge in the last one remaining before the colonization took uh, place, and that was Sokoto. Sokoto was the last remaining one uh, that was there before the colonization was complete, basically. And what happened is in one of the parts of the Sokoto Empire was the Adamawa um, Empire, and that's where like the last source of knowledge was from um, during the time, since it was decreasing and decreasing as colonization takes place. Because the thing is with colonization, they not only the the Portorjo not only change your way of living and stuff like that, but they change your way of thinking, you know, and they change the way that you do things, basically. And so what happened was that um, a group of a group of the Torodo and a group of just different Africans in general, not just Torodo, not just Fulani, but just Africans who wanted to stay African, Africans who wanted to still practice their way of life, Africans who did not want foreign invasion. What happened was that, you know, all these Africans met up at in basically for a final stand against the colonizers, right? And they were brutally defeated, you know, these different groups of Africans. You know, some of them though fled, some of them left, some of them actually made it to Sudan, you know, for refuge. Some of them even made it as far as like, you know, across the sea to Saudi Arabia for refuge as well, you know, and stayed there years after years, you know. Um, so once Sokoto fell, you know, that's when imperialism just really started, you know, really badly. And the reason why I mention these things is because of the simple fact that we it relates to voting, you know, again, because we're still suffering from imperialism, right? And we're still suffering from being told how to do things and also being told what is good for us, you know, like what's best for us by other people, by this being told what's best for us by the same people who deprived us of everything that was good, you know. And so that's where we're at right now. And one of the scholars of that time, you know, has some practical advice for us in which I will give. And you know, I'll give a little history about him basically. His name was Modibo uh, Audu Bellel. And Modi Audu Bellel, he was in that last beacon of hope during the time of colonialism in Adamawa. And the thing is about him is he was a judge. He was a and he was very learned. And the thing is about Modi Abdul is that he was so trusted that they actually wanted him to actually be the judge of the whole empire, but he decided that he didn't want to. You know, he didn't. He decided that he rather just deal with the local affairs. And believe me, there were a lot of judges and a lot of learned men at the time, and I can just name a couple of them. Those learned men, you know, they were there was like Abu Bakr Namtari, there was Modibo Uthman ibn Raji, there was all kinds of people, and they were in this region, which we call today Nigeria, Cameroon, basically. They were in Nagunderi, they were in Banyo, they were in all these different places. And so, yeah. So let's go back. When Modibo Abdul, when when the British were coming, when they were really coming, and it wasn't just the British, it was the British, the Germans, and the French. When all these Europeans were coming, you know, and at in the language they used, they called them Romans. And Romans is not just used for like it's Italians in this sense. It's used for all European descended people. That's how they're using it. So, you know, the leader of that time, the 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 one in charge of the empire of that time, asked for a letter on what to do about like these Europeans. And what happened basically is that there were three choices. There was fighting them, there was migrating from them, and there was making a truce with them, you know. And um I'll just go ahead and give like what he wrote about all of them, all of the choices that were available. At the time, the first choice was to fight them. But the problem with that is, the lieutenants and everything like that, um, they knew that, European weaponry was superior. So their chances of success, you know, um, is very slim. So that's why they decided that, it would be um, it would be kind of bad to try to fight them. And so that's why they didn't fight them. And I must say that, I really must say that this document that I'm reading from Modibo Audu, they try to burn it. Like the Europeans try to burn it because it has some very important things that relate to us today in which we're going through, you know. So, let's get to it, okay? And the name of this thing is called Risala wa Nasiha, which basically translates to a letter of advice, you know. And this was made because of European imperialism, you know, basically. We must understand that, you know, we didn't go peacefully, you know, we fought, you know, and we fought because we believed in something bigger, and you know, we believed in prophecy, and hopefully we still do, you know. Okay, let's see. Let's get to it. Okay. So, what he wrote basically is, you know, we see it happening. We see it happening to this day right now. You know, we definitely see it happening right before our very eyes, and we have seen it happen before. Okay. Now this basically summarizes where I'm trying to get at with the whole voting thing. Okay. Let me go ahead and get into it. So let's say we make a truce with the people who have been causing us the most problems. You know, he wrote the reality of making peace with the, uh, the reality of making peace with these people. This is what he wrote, okay? Um, the reality of us, like, basically becoming, in essence, like one with them, like how people say one human race, this, that, and the other. Sure, yes, we are one human race, but we are distinctive people. You know, within that one human race, we have distinctive different features. And, you know, our features necessarily don't line up with one another, you know. So Modibo Abdul said, um, the result of making a truce with these people will be that we will be stamped with their destructive characteristics and blameworthy customs. We will begin to imitate them, and he's talking about the Europeans, okay? We will begin to imitate the Europeans' illicit way of life. Uh, this will go on until the weak hearted ones among us grow fond of their customs and become laden with corruption. Eventually, the youth will mature, molded in the pattern of the European way of life. The women and children will become fascinated by them and begin to dress themselves with their adornment until um, when the amply honored um, Sunnah the Nelaru alayhi salatu salam perishes and pitch black innovation is revived. The state of affairs will continue until their European way of life prevails and spreads. Thus, the Africans will become humiliated and entered under the domination of the Romans. So, when you're voting, that's basically what you're doing. Like in essence, you're becoming them. You are becoming like into that system, into the system, okay? Like, and in that system, you're going to basically be humiliated for the simple fact it wasn't really set up for minorities to gain upward mobility, you know. That's just the reality, you know. When you look at the history of the country of America, you know, although it was like made with like minorities and stuff like that, many minorities came, but then once a majority decided to come and impose their way of living, the minorities basically became an afterthought. And so this is what I'm saying. You know, if you decide that you want to vote and that you think that voting is really going to change your affair, I mean, at the end of the day, all I can say is, you know, to each his own. But me personally, from reading, I rather take the advice of my elders, like the elder who left this letter, basically, than take the advice of someone who, you know, never really did have our interests, our best interests at hand, you know. That's why I'm just saying this, you know. Um, and so, you know, he goes on to say that they will never be satisfied until you follow their way of life. And their sole ambition is to destroy um, our way, you know, and thus fellowship with them and conclusion of truce with them will never make will never make them satisfied with us, you know. So this is what I'm saying. Even if we do vote, still not going to be good enough. Even, I mean, you've seen this. You've seen this. I repeat, you've seen this. You've had people of Syrian background. You've had people of even like different Hispanic backgrounds. They actually voted for Donald Trump. But were the majority of his native Caucasian followers satisfied with them voting for him? Did that keep him from deporting them or their families? Absolutely not. You know? So then, uh, you know, even if we were to make a truce with them, right? Even if we were to, let's just say that we were all included in everything that this country is about, right? It couldn't be based on false conditions, you know. But for the most part, a lot of these things that they're talking about is just false conditions. Seriously, the reality is different than what they really say, you know. And he also said, be on guard for people who call to this, you know. Yeah. So that's why we really just need to look at at what he's saying, because he even said that, you know, we have to give preference to the preservation of our way of life over the five universals, which means the soul, the intellect, and the lineage and the wealth. You know, and if our way of life does not line up with the the way that Gino has it set out for us to live, then it's no good, you know. So the other the other thing, the other option he gives is to make migration, you know. And a lot of us came to America, right? To 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 basically flee our problems at home, you know. That's why how a lot of us ended up in America. That's how a lot of us ended up in Europe. I understand that completely, you know. It's definitely understandable. The reason, like the the reason why we had to leave, you know. I definitely understand, right? But let's let's basically come, right? Utilize what the country has, right? And then go back and build our own country. You know, I mean, if we just like continue to just stay here and just like try to like basically make a life here, right? Then, you know, who are we kidding? You know, we're like, what will that prove? It'll just prove that we pretty much been westernized, you know. And I know it's hard, like in different areas of Africa. I know how difficult it is, but at the same time, you know, we have it's not going to get better here, you know. It's not going to like really, our lot is not going to improve because of the simple fact that that these people who are in power, they're going to do what they want to do, you know, regardless. It doesn't matter what we think or anything, you know. So we were given the advice, you know, a long time ago of what we need to do. We need to just do it, you know. We need to just get everything done. We just need to you know, use our time in this country to learn things that are going to benefit us, you know, and benefit our people back at home, you know. I mean, we should not fall, I'm saying we shouldn't fall in love with um, this place and the way and the lifestyle it is, because at the end of the day, we just will get embarrassed, you know, like, and we'll lose dignity, you know, like, and then also Pulaku will go out the window, you know, if we don't, if we adopt the ways here, you know, then there'll be no more Pulaku, you know, at all. So this is my reason for doing this video. I know I'm going on, and forgive me for it, but I'm just saying that, you know, think twice. Um, think just think twice about your voting, you know, and ask yourself, is it really going to benefit you? Is it really going to benefit those around you? Or is it going to furthermore like make make you embarrassed, and like basically there won't be any real dignity for you, you know, in voting? You know, you can write your comments down if you want, and you know, we can talk from there. And stay tuned because there'll be more content from the channel, See Ali Jabi. And I'll also have some more special guests as well, See Ali Jabi. So that's all I got for now. Leave your comments, like, and subscribe. And Jarama.